We're back with another episode of Beyond Tomorrow. Mo,
What's up?
man, how you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
It is May, the first full week of May.
And a lot of rain and a lot of grass growing and a lot of yard work. No, it's good.
Yeah, it is good. Yeah, no. When you mention that, I'm getting my backyard ready for the summer for the most part, right? So we've got a birthday party coming up next weekend, a soccer tournament in our backyard, and then Memorial Day is right around the corner.
When a man says they're getting their backyard ready, I feel like that automatically means you're paying somebody else to get everything ready.
It'll be a joint effort. Some for me.
Yeah. See where I was going with that? I feel like everybody else, when they say that, they just say, my weekend, I got a ton of yard work to do. It's unreal.
No.
That's what I say. No, I did. I worked my boys. I was super proud of them, man. We worked you know what? I got to take that back. Drew, Ben, Jake, and Amy, and little Nate, and little Kratos, and Momo.
Okay.
5 hours straight.
Wow.
Yeah. They grinded, and they worked so hard. So I guess I'm kind of like you.
Yeah.
It's getting my yard ready.
Getting it ready.
But the benefit of sweat equity with my children. You know?
Somebody has to do it, right?
Yeah, right. Like, Dad, how much I get to make? I'm like, you see the roof right there? Live underneath? No, they get paid. But anyway, yeah, month of May, wrapping up. Congrats to all these high school kids gearing up for graduation. What a huge accomplishment. And, hopefully putting in the effort to set the foundation of the next season of their life. That goes for college grads. And, congrats for the parents, too, that have been able to, are preparing to release their kids. Yeah.
Yeah, no. This is a very busy time for parents, students, just closing that one chapter in their lives and moving on to the next one. So to all our college graduates, high school graduates, congratulations. And if anybody wants an internship, just let us know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Good way to plug that. Actually, you and I have talked a lot about this. We've even started to prepare for this. But there's a season coming up. We don't know exactly. No, not a season, a series coming up. We don't know exactly the time of it yet, but it's going to encompass this entire conversation about, raising a ready kid. And it'll get into the intricacies of schooling, class course selection, preparing for the next step in life. Not that we're speaking from like 100%, we know exactly the answer, but just good quality Q&A, hopefully to jog some thoughts and some ideas, for everyone that listens to this. That's going to be fun.
It is. And I like how you mentioned that, because it's not that we, when I think about the topics that we, in the series that we bring up, it's not that we are the full-blown experts in what we're doing. It's questions that, that we ask ourselves personally, professionally. Clients are asking us, and it's just interesting. Why not explore it together?
Yeah.
Right. And find some more answers, solidify our thoughts, and maybe even change our thoughts depending on how the conversation goes. So
I think you said it well. It is literally the questions that we ask ourselves.
Yeah.
It's most often what we're going through and what we're challenging ourselves with that we're just trying to search out.
Hey, even yesterday, we had for Cinco de Mayo, we had lunch, and your oldest and Grayson were talking about starting a business over the summer.
Right.
Just so they're not wasting time. They just wanted to kind of keep their calendar filled from sports, and both of them have jobs. But then they were like, well, in our free time, what else can we be doing? And they thought about creating a business. So I know it's on people's minds, it's on kids' minds, and who better to shepherd them in the right way than their parents?
That's right. Right. So we might as well challenge some important, like, key topics that every parent's wrestling with. And so I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a ton of fun. But nonetheless, congrats to everybody that has made it and is at the finish line. Finish well and move into that next season of life. Embrace the challenge.
Yes.
If I had to give any advice just completely off the hip, I would say if you are preparing for your graduation, graduate with pure excitement and energy and be totally excited for where you are today. Then, this is a typical Andrew move, is what my son would say. Set it aside and begin to embrace the future. Like, great job. Now it's time to prepare. What's the next step? What can I embrace? What's the next challenge? How do I move forward? get a sense of direction. A sense of direction is so important. I think it's lost. I better stop here. We're gonna go down. We're gonna go down. Anyway, so.
But a sense of direction, kind of what we talked about. We're going to talk about today a little later on. But I think you're right. I mean, we're going to talk about real estate investing and more about the financing side of it. But having a right direction and a clear direction of how you're going to purchase these properties.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
Before we get there, there's another special thing happening this week, and that's Mother's Day. Okay, so from someone who was raised by an incredible mother, from someone who has an incredible wife, and living with an incredible mama. Listen, men, take a break, right? If this is the only thing you get out of this show, hit the pause button right now and take the time to figure out, talking about sense of direction, figure out what you're going to do for Mother's Day.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was raised by, 2 aunts and my mother. I lived with my sister. So, a lot of female influence within me as a child. And so, big respects for all the women that have made a big positive influence in my life. So happy Mother's Day to all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The past 4 weeks, if you missed our show, we've talked about, the word and what Scripture talks about in regards to financial discipline. We had an interview with Benji. But in light of understanding that if you believe life was created by a higher being, that ultimately was created for a specific purpose, then you have to come to the conclusion that, hey, when it talks about a man and a woman, at the end of the day, we need them. Got to have them, right? And they were meant to help, not just to help us. I believe probably the margin difference is probably more so we need them than they need us.
I would say so,
yeah,
too.
I think so.
Yeah.
I didn't know raising with 3 girls and a mom, that was tough. I didn't respect that. But I get older and I'm like, you know what? I needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, our house does not run without Amber. So yes, we need the women in our lives.
That's fantastic. Well, mothers have an incredible Mother's Day.
Yes.
And you know what? If you're not a mother biologically, but you're an incredible aunt, an incredible grandmother, maybe you're a teacher, or you're just a woman that has the ability to impact others, congrats to you too.
Yes.
We got to have you,
Yes.
and thank God for you. So, men, do your job this weekend.
Don't
Take
forget.
your time. Prepare beyond tomorrow. You want to live in your own house beyond tomorrow? Do your stuff right today. That's good advice. Anyway, all right. So the only thing we want to hit before we go into the recap, quick touch on the markets. At the end of the day, last week there was a lot going on, a lot of earnings reports coming in. We had unemployment that was reflected last week. I believe unemployment bumped up a little bit.
Yep, it did.
Probably helped out Powell's message in regards to, hey, a little dovish. Seems like the theme is once again, higher for longer, not a major change, moving left to right, which isn't rocking the boat. Maybe we see a little bit of a rate reduction later, Q4. It's not off the table, not 100% on the table. We're just going to stay neutral for now. Good enough for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a good way to end the month. April was a very, ugly month. It was a month to forget. And so I think if we walked away with the idea that interest rates may just be higher for longer, Powell did not make any indication that his next move or their next move is going to be rate increases. So higher for longer, which has really been the theme for a while now, right? Great way to close April, and let's look forward to what May has.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Let's get
Like
the
you
month of May
said,
storm.
Push it to the side.
Yeah.
Right. And what's
Don't
in
put
front
too
of
much
you.
weight on
Don't
it.
put too much weight on it, and let's see
Yeah.
what's going on the next month.
My uncle, he told me one time, he said, Andrew, remember, you're never as good as your best compliment, and you're never as bad as your worst critic. Just take it, chew on it a little bit, get rid of it, and get moving. Stay moving forward.
I like it.
I like it too. All right, so what else happened this past week was Berkshire Hathaway's annual event in Oklahoma. No.
And Omaha,
Nebraska. Yeah, Oklahoma. Listen to me. So in light of this being, I believe, the first annual event since Charlie's passed away, thought I'd throw a quote out there by Charlie. Appropriate. Okay. Mimicking the herd invites regression to the mean.
I love
by
that.
Charlie.
I love that.
Yeah. That is, let me just say it again. The mimicking the herd invites regression to the mean. The simple form of that is is that, if you keep doing the same thing that everybody else is doing, your only expectation or appropriate expectation is that you're going to get the same results that everybody else is getting. If you don't want to be average, if you don't want to be a part of the mean, then quit following the herd. And if you expect something different out of your life, if you expect to be, if your goal is to be innovative, if your goal is to be different, if your goal is to be, to live a life that, influences others, and that's just completely out of the box, then you got to ask yourself why your steps today look and appear like everybody else's.
Yeah.
Because if it does, maybe it's the wrong expectation and gives you more direction to change your choices today.
Totally agree with it.
Yeah.
Totally agree with it. Yeah, you've got to be a little contrarian in some aspects to find the fruit, right? And so you got to be a little different than everyone else, because if not, the likelihood of you seeing a different experience than everyone else is going to be low. So you've got to do things a little different.
Incredible wisdom. Great quote. You said something about what was it you said about Warren Buffett? You said a statement earlier about that.
I'm going to paraphrase it, but it's be greedy when others are fearful, and be fearful when others are greedy. And that's a great way to look at it in markets. We've seen so much times, especially in the era of the meme stocks, where everyone was, looking at some of these stocks that were accelerating and rising at levels that
should I buy GameStop?
No.
I'm like, bro, you way late for that.
By the time you found out about it, it was way too late.
Yeah.
Right? And
your thoughts were 3 days, 4 days behind.
Right. And so when everyone's being greedy, trying to just do things that were unconventional, right? Taking investment wisdom and putting it to the side, right? Just to be greedy. That's when you be cautious. That's when you be fearful, and then when everyone is fearful, market's down 10%, market's down 20%, and you're seeing a lot of money moving the markets and going into cash. This could be a good opportunity for you.
You and I having the opportunity to lead such an incredible organization, leading a firm like ours, being able to manage people's wealth at the level that we get the opportunity to manage, we see that firsthand. We know what it's like to see a massive amount of money work through a volatile season, such as Brexit or the downturn in fourth quarter or Q4 of 2018 or, COVID or so many different seasons. But when you go through that is the common challenge that you face is dealing with clients who are fearful, but it also equates to the season in which everybody else is fearful. And so it is contrary to this quote by Warren Buffett that you mentioned. And really that's the reminder in the stability that we try to inject back into the lack of confidence that our investors have is just, hey, no. It's opportunity.
Yes.
It's opportunity. This is where you make your money. Even if you don't have the ability to contribute. If you do, double down. If you don't, this is where you get back to the basics, the fundamentals. Don't wreck, okay? Just ride through the storm. Your ship's built well for it. And it's just getting back to that message. So that was a good quote.
That simple message is, one of the value adds, I'd say, that advisors bring to their clients is being able to show them that, to handhold them, right, during volatile times. So they're not making those, I want to use the word irrational decisions, but decisions that they know in hindsight will probably be one of the worst decisions or a bad decision they can make for their future selves. And having that accountability partner or partners that help them stay convicted, stay committed to their plan. And that's a huge value add that, you can't really quantify it in some aspects, but it really does play a huge impact on one's ability to be successful.
And technically you can quantify it because there are plenty of statistical data that supports, especially from these big box firms like what used to be a TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab, Vanguard, some of these companies who have the ability to segment clients' accounts that are self-managed versus advisor-managed, and the difference in performance over time on a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year outlook. The performance is significantly different. The understanding of that has to boil up to guidance. And guidance oftentimes equates to not just investment selection, but also, keeping those emotions intact.
Yeah.
So you're right. All right, let's jump in. You and I we spent basically about 3 weeks breaking down real estate. Took a moment to pivot in light of Easter and the month of April. Hit a different subject, which I think you and I both enjoyed If anybody viewing the show missed it, go back. Great content there, and a great interview with Ben Sherrill, one of the partners and members of One More International. So it was awesome to be able to interview him. With that said, we first touched on just real estate in and of itself, why real estate, and we did take the time in a few of those shows to break down long-term rentals and short-term rentals.
Right.
So I want to do just a quick recap since it's been a while before we jump into lending. I think it all boils down to one big question. Why real estate? Why? You know?
Yeah, no, real estate I feel like it's been a hot topic for the last 4 or 5 years, especially when interest rates were so low, right? The ability to purchase a property has never been more affordable than it has been in the past. But now things have changed recently. But, looking at real estate and adding it as a sleeve in your portfolio, your overall portfolio, has been a conversation on top of our clients' mind, has been the topic of conversation on our minds personally. Mm-hmm. And why real estate? Because there's a lot of value in some aspects with real estate investing overall, whether it's short-term, long-term, flipping, commercial, just the idea of one, having a hard asset. Right. People like the ability to, which is why there's a lot of attraction to gold, right? Because you can touch it, you can feel it. Well, real estate kind of has those same qualities too, right? You can actually walk in, drive by the property. Depending on the real estate venture, it can provide cash flow, consistent cash flow over time. Tons of write-offs. You get the appreciation of the asset. There's inflation protection, inflation hedge. So there's a lot of value behind adding real estate as a sleeve within your overall investment portfolio.
I mean, you just in a matter of like 20, 30 seconds motivated everybody to go purchase real estate. But the truth is just because it's an opportunity doesn't make every home the right deal.
That's right.
And it doesn't guarantee that every home is going to be a win, right? So what we did is we took time to break down, how do you understand the deal? Because like you often say, and I 100% agree with, when it comes to investing, when it comes to really many industries from a business operational standpoint, maybe more so retail, in that the deal is made. The money is made. The return is made oftentimes in the deal. Okay. And so when you're looking at the deal, it matters.
It does matter.
It matters. Yeah. So, we broke down basically, how to look at it, economic climate in the area in which you're looking at. What's the housing market situation looking at? So if you're looking at like long-term rentals that are going to be, 30 days or longer on average, you're looking for that consistent, sticky, long-term, predictable cash flow, a house in which is going to have the ability to kick off that income. You're looking at, community, what attracts people to that community. Mm-hmm. You're looking at school systems for younger children. Is it a good, high quality location for the public school system for the kids to attend? You're looking at maybe future growth for that region.
That's huge.
Okay, maybe you find yourself looking for a community that's outside of the the suburb of the suburbs, if you will. Okay, satellite outside of the, in our area, instead of the city of Atlanta, maybe you're looking beyond the rim of 285. Maybe you're coming way out looking at towns, much further than that, the Canton area or Adairsville. I don't want to bring anybody there, but, Adairsville or further
like north of 75, yeah.
Right. You're getting suburb of suburb because why? Because obviously these big cities continue to expand as a product of COVID. You're looking at more people able to work remote, less people willing to commute, more people wanting to live in that lifestyle that really the suburbs offer.
Yeah.
Close to parks. There's so many different ways and things to think through when you're trying to find a property that isn't just priced right, but also has the ability to rent right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, and especially when you're talking about the rent, you're looking at long-term residential. Some things to I mentioned before, the cash flow, tax write-offs, hedging against inflation, everything of that sort. But, also things to think about when it comes to long-term residentials is it's more hands off than I would say short term residentials, right? You find a tenant. Hopefully, it's a good tenant. They stay for a while. The rent is pretty consistent. Outside of maybe your annual cost of living increases in the rent, but you get that consistent cash flow over time, and it's pretty laid off. Laid back. You do have to maintain the house, right? You do have to maintain the property itself, but as far as like day-to-day maintenance, it's pretty hands-off. So from an investment and an investor's point of view, you've got this asset that appreciates, brings good cash flow, and if you have a consistent renter in there, it's a nice transition to get into real estate investing.
And I think if you're going to look at long-term rentals as just a recap, you really got to ask yourself good questions. Why real estate? What do I need this investment to do for me and for my plan? That's important, but especially when it comes to time frame. What is my timeline? Am I a 40-year-old looking to build a real estate portfolio to eventually produce a lot of net cash flow, good quality cash on cash return, so that I can be able to retire, basically self-create my own pension plan? Or am I 65 years old? And if that's the case, what do you want the property to do for you? Could be different, And so there's a lot of great questions you got to ask about yourself, about the location, and then, of course, about the house itself. And then you need to move into the numbers. You need to be able to quantify exactly what this property will do for you. Long-term rentals is a great place to be. We then swapped over to short-term rentals. Now, short-term rentals are... they're fun to think about, right? It's like the new hobby in town.
Yeah,
right. Everybody wants to own an Airbnb. Everybody wants to own a VRBO, and there's a lot of people doing it.
And there's a lot of money in there.
64
billion in revenue in 2023. 2.4 million vacation rentals that are listed. It's a verb. I'm Airbnb-ing. I'm VRBOing. It's a way of life in some aspects.
Most said it's a verb.
It is. Right, verb.
Airbnb. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
No, but it's a huge market, and it can vary. Right, it can be your single family house. It can be a cabin in the woods, a cabin in the mountains. It could be a condo on the beach. Right, you're looking at, instead of, it's complete opposite, right? Instead of consistent renter, hopefully you get consistent visitors that are coming in and renting for 7 days or less, and it's more hands-on, right? Because you really are going in and finding new.
It's a lot more hands-on.
It's a lot more hands-on,
really
right? You got to find more tenants. I'm not the right term, tenants. More guests.
Yeah, your turnover it's not like once a year or once every 2 or 3 years when your tenant leaves. It's once a week. Well, it should be once a week, right? For a short-term rental, 7 days or less. And you're right. It really, you got to look at it from a business standpoint. You have to have, it is a business. You have to have a business mind when you approach, especially short-term rentals.
Yeah.
Right? What's the structure look like? The win is found in the details. What's the policy for the community itself and for the town?
Yes.
Don't get messed up there, because if you're trying to, overhaul a house and you can't do what you want to do with it because the policies don't allow you to, the governance doesn't allow you to, that's a problem.
That's a big problem.
But you're right. The operation is very similar to a business operation. You got to have your ducks in the row. You got to be able to communicate with people pretty consistently. Now, the return of that could produce more cash flow.
They can.
It
really can.
Your net operating income can be a lot better in comparison to a long-term rental. So it's a win, but it's a business.
Yeah. And, keep your eyes out for seasonality. There could be peak seasons and off seasons. So the cash flow might come faster and slower depending on, where the property is. So you also have to keep that in mind, like any business, right? There's slow time and fast seasons in any business. So, but yeah, it's a different opportunity than long-term rentals, but again, at the end of the day, it's a key opportunity. It's just which one do you want to get into?
So we talked about those few shows, short-term, long-term, and today, for the rest of what time we have, we want to talk about lending, okay? This is kind of an interesting topic because, our firm Asset Management Group was, at one time, for a long time, endorsed by the Ramsey team, if you will, the Ramsey Group. And I'm going to bring him up because his message is very direct. Not going to say it's wrong. It may be wrong on certain situations. It may be right on certain situations. But what I will say is his message is different than a lot of other people. A lot of other, well-respected and well-known real estate investors that you might find on, YouTube or heads of major organizations. And that is, his message is, you don't do it by leveraging debt. Period.
You pay cash.
You pay cash, okay? On the other hand, you have people to say, hey, listen, you want to leverage as much debt as possible, okay? So the question is, do you leverage? And if so, how? And I want to get kind of our message out there from Asset Management Group first, just to make it very clean. We wholeheartedly believe that how you approach a deal financially, how you finance that deal, boils down to your plan and your plan structure. Okay, because we have clients that have done it a lot of different ways. And you can answer that. I mean, we've had clients, self-direct IRAs, use their IRAs to be able to purchase property. We have clients that have just straight up pay cash for investments. We've had clients hold their assets as collateral.
Yes.
Take out a HELOC, refi, owner finance. And all of that has been at the rim of our advice.
Yes.
Yeah. We've advised to do these things. It doesn't mean that one size fits all. It just means for their plan specifically, it worked well.
Yeah. If you just think about the landscape overall, I think 1/3 of homes were purchased with cash. 1/3. So
it's actually higher than I thought.
Yeah, that's
a pretty big number.
That's a pretty big number, right? I wonder.
And also, you have more people being able to purchase homes. That's probably not investment property. That's probably just primary residence.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to be contributed to the fact that real estate property values have risen so aggressively.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of companies are going in and buying homes as well, right? So they have the opportunity to pay cash. But if you think about it, right? I mean, $300,000, which in today's world is very rare to find a 3-bedroom house, right? No matter what city you live in for $300,000. But someone that has the ability to park away with $300,000 just like that to buy a property is very far few in between.
Not everybody.
Not everyone. Yes.
They may have the liquidity.
They may have the liquidity.
But they can't deploy it all in that capacity.
Exactly. So, it's... now that when you look at the ways and opportunity cost that it lies in front of you, where, is it best to purchase a house and have all the capital invested in that house? Or do you have the opportunity to leverage, right? And maybe have the ability to purchase more than one property? Mm-hmm. Or what happens if there's a housing crash, right? And all of a sudden your $300,000, your property is now worth $250,000.
Yeah.
Right. And now your $300,000 is now $250,000.
So I think what you're saying, and this is true, from our stance, a secondary home, a vacation property, an investment property, you got to have skin in the game. We believe that you got to have skin in the game.
And most lenders want you to have more skin in the game.
Well, correct, 100%.
Yeah.
100%, 25, 30% for investment property. And you need to. To me, being able to have the capacity to put down 25, 30% is necessary. It's almost like a guardrail, a checkpoint in your decision-making process. And the reason it's there and the reason we appreciate that is that if you can't put 25, 30% down on the property, you really got to ask yourself if you're overextending yourself.
That's right.
Okay, because to your point, there's going to be seasons just like in investing where you have to be able to stomach the valley and the volatility in real estate, just like it is in market-based investing. But there's a very big key difference, and that is if you buy investments, Apple stock as an example, Tesla, and the bottom falls out in the market, the stock depreciates 15, 20%, the balance of your accounts depreciate. What do you have to do? You have to be able to stomach looking at the screen and trust that it's going to be okay. In real estate, you have a tenant who loses a job. You can't just put them on the street.
You cannot.
You have a vacation property that you have leveraged and you owe debt on, or you have debt on, and all of a sudden people can't pay what you thought you were going to be able to get. That property can't generate, net operating income of $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year. It's down to 20, but you're out 40 over your cost and expenses over a year. So the difference is facing a valley in real estate has a direct impact on cash flow.
Right.
A direct impact. And so to me, if you can't put 20, 30% down on a property, you really have to take a step back and say to yourself, okay, am I over leveraging? Because if I can't afford 20%, 30%, then can I really afford to maintain this property in the event that I face a worst case scenario?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, no, it's a good point. That's a good way of looking at it, right? One is just weathering the volatility. The other one is being able to cover the cost.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So, I hate to do this, but we're gonna have to do like this whole to be continued message.
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot that goes into financing real estate investments, and that's why we stay tuned. That's why this is a real estate series, and we've got a lot coming up. And this is a continuing conversation.
We're gonna start next week's show with private lending, hard money lending, using small banks. We also have a great interview in the next few weeks coming up with Chris and Nicole, who literally live in the world. Their entire income and business model is dependent on flipping property, using hard money lending or private lending. So a lot of great things coming up, but let's tackle that next week.
Sure.
Anything else you wanna say?
No, just men out there, don't forget, treat your wives. It's Mother's Day coming up.
Hey, don't forget.
Don't forget. You can't.
Don't do what Andrew's doing. Should I tell him? Andrew has planned a hunting trip.
Yes.
But I'm taking my son. That's got to be, my wife birthed him. That's like a gift in some weird, awkward way. Yes, don't do that.
Don't do it.
Anyway, live by experience. Men, do something. Do something special. Hope you guys have a fantastic week. See you next week.